in the Horn of Africa, countries of Eritrea, Somalia, and Ethiopia. And also the movement will create a dedicated website and use a Zoom platform and YouTube to educate the user about the environment and the impact of climate change. The movement will be also hosting in-person and online events using mixed media approach, including social media and podcasts, to educate the user about the challenges of climate change in the environment.
The movement was jointly initiated by me, Ibrahim Bro from Somalia, and my principal and co-partner, Delina Samara from Eritrea. Both of us, it was to mention that we are alumnus of Yali RLC East Africa cohort 59, cohort 49, I'm sorry. We came up with this idea after multiple research and baseline survey that we carried across the countries of Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. And so in today's session, we shall be discussing about the agricultural practices in the Horn of African countries, especially in Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, which contribute to climate change through various mechanisms. While it is important to note that specific data and statistics may vary over time and across the region within this country, in this session, we shall try to provide you with general overview of some of the key aspects of the livestock, or I mean agricultural practices in the Horn of African countries. Delina?
Exactly. And the first one is as a deforestation and land degradations. We know that the clearance of forests and extensive land used for agriculture can lead to deforestation and land degradation, Ibrahim, which contributes to climate change. And also deforestation reduces the capacity of forests to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, a major greenhouse gas responsible for global warming. And also, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, between the 1990 and 2020, Ethiopia lost an average of 140,900 hectares of forest per year.
Number two is soil erosion. Unsustainable farming practice such as overgrazing and improper land management can lead to soil erosion. Eroded soil releases carbon into the atmosphere and reduces the soil's capacity to store carbon. According to World Bank, soil erosion rates in the Horn of Africa are among the highest globally, resulting in the loss of fertile topsoil and reducing agricultural productivity.
Mhm. And the third one is the livestock emissions. Livestock, particularly cattle, emit significant amount of methane and potent greenhouse gases. Intridic fermentation, the digestive process of ruminant animals, produce methane as a hydroproducts. And livestock management practices such as inadequate waste management and overstocking can further amplify methane emissions. In 2018, Ethiopia had the largest livestock population in Africa with about 60 million cattle.
And then number four is agricultural emission. The use of synthetic fertilizers in agriculture can contribute to greenhouse gas emission. Nitrous oxide, or N2, a potent greenhouse gas, is released during the application and breakdown, a nitrogen-based fertilizer. Additionally, the burning of agricultural residue and crop residue contribute to emission of carbon dioxide and other pollutants.
Mhm. And number five is water use and efficiencies. In arid and semi-arid regions like the Horn of Africa, water scarcity is a significant concern. Insufficient irrigation practices and unsustainable water use in agriculture can exacerbate water scarcity and contribute to climate change. According to FAO, only about 1% of Ethiopians' total agricultural land is equipped with irrigation systems. So it's very important to note that while agricultural practices can contribute to climate change, this country is also vulnerable to the impact of climate change, such as prolonged drought, changing rainfall patterns, and increased frequency of extreme weather events. Addressing climate change in agriculture sector requires a multifaceted approach, Ibrahim, including sustainable land management, afforestation, improved livestock management, and the promotion of climate-smart agriculture practices.
So, Delina, before we go to some other additional details, I just wanted to tell to our viewers and our audience, in fact, that soon we shall be trying to be more specific on these topics of climate change. we shall try to host a webinar with a specialist. First and foremost, in the coming sessions, we shall be hosting a water management expert from the Horn of African countries so that he can shed light on how best we can utilize rainforest for the purpose of sustenance and sustainability in the Horn of African country. So we
Indeed.
call upon all our youth, especially from the home countries of Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia, to tune in and get use of that webinar that we are trying to plan. It's called Master Well Adem. He's from Ethiopia. He's a water management expert, and soon we shall be hosting him.
Exactly. We're looking forward to meet and host Mastawal in our coming events, so stay tuned and be
Exactly.
with us.
So
Mhm.
if I add, there are some other additional details regarding to contribution of agricultural practices to climate change in the Horn of African countries of Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, along with their impacts. Number one, deforestation and land degradation. In Somalia, deforestation has been a significant issue due to the expansion of agriculture, charcoal production, and population growth. It's estimated that Somalia lost 8.2% of its forest cover from 1990 to 2015. Deforestation affects community by reducing access to forest resources, including food, fuelwood, and medical plants, and can lead to increased vulnerability to climate-related hazards like drought and floods. In Ethiopia, for example, deforestation is primarily driven by agriculture, fuelwood collection, and the expansion of settlement. The country has experienced a significant reduction in the forest cover over the years. According to FAO, Ethiopia lost 2.9 million hectares of forest between 1990 to 2020. That's 30 years' time. Deforestation impacts community by reducing biodiversity, water viability, and soil fertility, affecting the livelihood and upscales the climate-related risks. In Eritrea, Delina, deforestation is mainly caused by agricultural expansion, fuel wood collection, and urbanization. The country has witnessed a decline in forest cover due to unsustainable land use practices. Deforestation affects community by reducing access to forest resources, impacting water availability, and contributing to soil erosion, which can lead to reduced agricultural productivity and food insecurity.
Exactly. And to add to your points, there is another one, which is soil erosion and degradation, Ibrahim. So Somalia faces significant soil erosion due to the unsustainable farming practices such as overgrazing, inappropriate land management, and recurrent droughts. And soil erosion reduces agricultural productivity, affects water quality and availability, and can lead to increased desertification and land degradation. This impacts community by reducing food security, increasing vulnerability to droughts, and undermining the resiliences of the land. And Ethiopia also struggles with soil erosion, particularly in the highlands. Unsustainable agricultural practices, including overgrazing, improper land management, and inadequate soil conservation measures, have contributed to soil degradation, Ibrahim. And also, soil erosion affects community by reducing agricultural productivity, increasing the risk of landslides and damaging the infrastructure, leading to economic losses and food insecurities. And in my country, Eritrea, soil erosion is a significant concern, especially in the highland region. Unsustainable land management practices coupled with a recurrent drought have led to soil degradation and reduced agricultural productivity. So soil erosion impacts community by reducing crop yields, harming livelihood, and increasingly the vulnerability of farmers due to the climate shocks. So this is a
Exactly.
big issue,
It's
Ibrahim.
a big issue, really. So there's also the livestock emission, Delina. Somalia has a large livestock population, mainly consisting of goats, sheep, and camels. The pastoral community heavily depends on livestock for their livelihoods. However, inadequate livestock management practices, such as overgrazing and improper waste management, can contribute to methane emission. This emission affects the health and well-being of communities, particularly if they're exposed to high concentration of methane. In Ethiopia, for example, has one of the largest livestock population in Africa, including cattle, sheep, and goats, and camels. Methane emission from enteric fermentation of the livestock contributes significantly to country's greenhouse gas emission. Inefficient livestock management practices such as overstocking, inadequate feeding, and lack of proper waste management further amplifies these emissions. The impact on community includes potential health risks, air pollution, and climate-related risks.
That's that's really indeed a big thing. So
Mm.
Ibrahim, and to talk about what we have been up to lately, uh, we also mentioned it in our previous video. We know that we have a panel, a very impressive Twitter spacing that will be happening in the 26th of August. So different climate activists, very, very intellectual, who are really concerned about our planet, will be hosted and talking about different experiences and what's happening and going on in our planet. So what do you have to say about this, since you're going to be one of the best speaker?
So, Delina, we shall be hosting the Twitter space on 26. We shall be talking about the impact or the role of youth on encountering climate impact or climate change. So, I also understand you are one of the speakers. We shall be dealing with this critical issue. We shall try to emphasize how youth can participate or take part in climate change programs.
Exactly.
Mm.
All right. So, to get back to our point, we have the impact of agricultural practices on communities in the Horn of Africa countries of Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea can be very significant, Ibrahim. And there are some key aspects which are food security and livelihoods. So we know that agriculture is a crucial source of food and livelihood for many communities in this country. Unsustainable agricultural practices such as deforestation, soil erosion, and water scarcity can be undermine food security by reducing agricultural productivity and crop yields. This can lead to increased dependencies on the external food aid and negatively impacts the livelihood of farmers in rural communities.
So yeah, exactly, Delina. And we have got the impact of cultural practices on communities in the whole. Here are some. This includes food security, vulnerability to climate-related, water availability and sanitation, health risk, and I think all that could be managed. And that's why we are calling upon all our listeners or all our viewers, to join our movement so that we can avert the danger of climate change in the whole of African countries.
Exactly.
Together, we can do much more.
We can do much and better and most, like there is endless things to be done, and nobody can do it by just by, it's not a solo journey. It should be joined hand thing to do. So kindly, dear listeners and everyone who loves this planet, let's join hands and let's save the world. And everybody can have an impact on their community just by being aware of the climate change. So yeah, thank you so much, Ibrahim, for your time and for your knowledge and for your information that you have been advocating and sharing to us. And thank you so much for our listeners as well. So stay tuned until the next video, and do not forget to mark your calendar for the 26th of um, panel, which will be happening soon. And yeah, anything, Ibrahim?
So we just call upon our people from the Horn and anywhere in the world, to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Otherwise, we say bye bye.